Imagine driving alone on a desolate highway and picking up a hitchhiker who has no reflection. This is the eerie experience that Jake, a cross-country road tripper, found himself in on a seemingly endless stretch of Highway 66. The night was ink black, and the only sounds to keep Jake company were the hum of his car's engine and the occasional whisper of the wind. Miles of empty road stretched out before him, a lonely path that seemed to lead into the heart of the darkness itself. As the fatigue of the long drive settled in, Jake noticed a lone figure standing on the side of the road. It was a hitchhiker, a nondescript individual carrying a worn backpack and emanating an aura of quiet solitude. Jake felt a surge of empathy for the stranger. Despite the cautionary tales of picking up hitchhikers, he decided to stop and offer the lone figure a ride. The hitchhiker climbed into the dimly lit interior of Jake's car, expressing gratitude for the lift in a soft voice that barely rose above the hum of the engine. The two travelers exchanged introductions, a brief ritual in the otherwise silent journey. Yet, as the miles rolled by under the tires, Jake found himself unable to recall the hitchhiker's name. It was as if the name was made of smoke, slipping away from his memory and dissipating into the night air, leaving behind nothing but a sense of unease. With each passing mile, Jake's car ate away at the distance, bringing them closer to their unknown destination. The hitchhiker sat silently, staring out of the window into the black abyss of the night. Their quiet demeanor was a stark contrast to the usual boisterousness of road trip companions, adding to the eerie atmosphere inside the vehicle. Despite the unease gnawing at his conscience, Jake continued driving, one eye on the road and another on his mysterious passenger. The hitchhiker's name, however, seemed to slip away from Jake's memory like water through his fingers. As the miles rolled by, an unsettling feeling gnawed at Jake's conscience. The road ahead was a monotony of black asphalt and white lines, punctuated only by the occasional flash of a road sign. The hum of the engine, once comforting, now seemed to echo the rhythm of his own heartbeat, quickening with each passing moment. Jake found his gaze drawn to the rearview mirror, a small reflective rectangle that offered a glimpse into the back seat. His passenger sat there, a silhouette against the dim glow of the car's interior. Yet, something was amiss. He blinked, rubbed his eyes, but the image remained the same. The hitchhiker's reflection was absent. His mind attempted to rationalize it, a trick of the light perhaps, or the angle of the mirror. But no matter how he adjusted it, the reflection refused to materialize. He tried to shrug it off, chalking it up to fatigue playing tricks on his mind. He had been driving for hours after all. But a niggling sense of unease had set in, a cold shroud wrapping itself around his rational thought. The shadows in the car seemed to dance and shift, casting an eerie glow on his passenger's face. Yet still, the mirror revealed nothing. The silence in the car grew louder, the quiet punctuated only by the purr of the engine and the occasional rustle of the hitchhiker's worn backpack. Jake's attempts at casual conversation were met with short, non-committal responses. The road seemed to stretch infinitely ahead, time and space blending into one continuous loop of asphalt and darkness. His mind raced, trying to piece together the puzzle. The hitchhiker seemed ordinary enough, just another traveler seeking a ride, but the missing reflection, it was something he couldn't overlook. It was a detail that didn't fit, a piece of the puzzle that refused to fall into place. Panic clawed at him as he struggled to reconcile the normalcy of the hitchhiker's appearance with the inexplicable absence of a reflection. Unable to contain his mounting fear, Jake finally confronted his enigmatic passenger. The words hung heavy in the air, a mixture of fear and curiosity propelling them forward. "Why don't you have a reflection?" Jake stammered, his voice barely above a whisper. The silence that followed was as thick as the darkness outside, the only sound being the steady hum of the car's engine. The hitchhiker turned slowly, their face hidden in the shadow. A slow, chilling smile spread across their face, the only visible feature in the dim light. Their response was a whisper, a soft murmur that drifted through the car like an icy wind. "You picked me up on a road less traveled?" they began, their voice carrying a strange, otherworldly cadence that sent shivers down Jake's spine. "I am but a passenger passing through the shadows, a transient soul on a journey of its own." Jake was taken aback, his mind racing to comprehend the cryptic explanation. He had picked up a hitchhiker, yes, but this was no ordinary traveler. This was something else, something beyond the realm of the living. A phantom hitchhiker perhaps, a spirit stranded between realms? The realization hit him like a punch to the gut, his heart pounding in his chest as he tried to make sense of it all. But the hitchhiker wasn't done. Their voice continued to fill the car, sharing tales of forgotten highways and ethereal bridges. Each word was a puzzle piece, slowly revealing a picture of a world that existed parallel to ours, a world of shadows and transient souls. It was a world Jake had inadvertently stumbled upon, a world he was now a part of, if only for a moment. The confrontation ended as abruptly as it had begun, the hitchhiker falling silent once more. But the silence was different this time, filled with an understanding that hadn't been there before. Jake was no longer just a driver on a cross-country road trip. He was a participant in a story that transcended the boundaries of the living and the dead. Jake's heart raced as he realized the true nature of his companion. The open road had become something more, a pathway to the unknown, forever embedded with the memory of a phantom hitchhiker and a journey through the shadows. Gripping the steering wheel, he pleaded for answers, but the hitchhiker remained cryptic. Jake's heart pounded like a drum in his chest. His mind was a whirl of confusion and fear, struggling to comprehend the inexplicable situation. He yearned for answers, for some form of understanding that could put his racing thoughts to rest. But the hitchhiker, this spectral passenger, remained an enigma, shrouded in mystery as deep as the night outside. The hitchhiker, however, didn't remain silent. They began to spin tales, their voice a haunting melody that filled the car's interior. They spoke of forgotten highways, of roads less traveled that stretched out into the unknown, hidden from the eyes of the ordinary world. These were not just stretches of asphalt, they said, but ethereal bridges that spanned the chasm between life and death, between the tangible and the intangible. Their stories painted a vivid, surreal picture. A picture of souls adrift, of spirits journeying along these spectral roads, seeking passage to realms beyond human comprehension. The hitchhiker was one of these travelers, a transient soul navigating the shadowy byways of existence. As the hitchhiker's words washed over him, Jake felt a chill creep up his spine. The world as he knew it was crumbling, replaced by a reality he had never considered. He was not just driving on a highway. He was traversing a bridge between realms, a conduit for souls on their eternal journey. The realization hit him hard. The open road, the highway that he had always seen as a symbol of freedom and adventure, harbored more than just the living. It was a pathway for the departed, a road less traveled that wove its way through the fabric of existence, connecting life and death in an eternal cycle. Jake was left haunted by the encounter, forever changed by the realization that the open road harbored more than just the living. His perception of the world had shifted, and he knew he would never look at a highway, at the open road the same way again. As dawn approached, the hitchhiker requested to be dropped off at a desolate crossroads. The first light of morning was just beginning to tint the horizon, casting long shadows that danced and shivered in the cool, pre-dawn air. The car slowed to a stop, the engine's rumble giving way to an eerie silence that seemed to echo the phantom passenger's cryptic farewell. With a soft rustle of clothing and the quiet click of the door handle, the hitchhiker prepared to disembark. A lingering silence filled the air, heavy with unspoken questions and the weight of the unreal. The hitchhiker turned to Jake, their eyes reflecting the pale glow of the approaching dawn. A slight nod, a fleeting smile, and they stepped out into the growing light. The door closed with a soft thud, a sound that felt final and definitive. Jake watched as the hitchhiker stood at the crossroads, a solitary figure against the slowly brightening sky. Then, without a backward glance, they turned and walked away, their form gradually fading until it was swallowed by the early morning mist. Jake sat in the car, his heart pounding, his mind reeling from the surreal encounter. The eerie stillness of the dawn felt like a stark contrast to the night's unnerving events. He gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles white, and stared at the empty crossroads. The phantom hitchhiker was gone, leaving no trace of their ephemeral presence. With a deep, shaky breath, Jake put the car in gear and slowly pulled away from the crossroads. The car picked up speed, the landscape blurring past the windows as he left the desolate spot behind. The road stretched out before him, its vastness suddenly imbued with an unsettling sense of mystery and the unknown. Haunted by the encounter, Jake realized that the open road harbored more than just the living. The phantom hitchhiker had vanished, but the imprint of their presence lingered, a chilling reminder of the strange and unexplained. As the miles rolled by, Jake understood that his journey was forever altered, that he was not just a traveler, but a witness to the mysteries that lay hidden in the shadows of the open road.